Rachel. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us today to talk about this really important issue we've got here in the UK, that is the abortion pills by post system. To start off with, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Thanks for inviting me. So my name's Rachel Mackenzie. I'm part of a ministry called Rachel's Vineyard. I'm actually the National Director of Rachel's Vineyard UK. And I support anybody, that's the mums, the dads, the grandparents, siblings, aunts, uncles, whoever's been affected by abortion and traumatised by it. I'm post-aborted myself. That means that I had 2 abortions many years ago, very much under the lie that, you know, I just didn't want to be a mom, but abortion didn't solve that problem. It just meant I was a mom to children that had died through abortion, and that I played a part in that. So I support anybody on their journey. I allow people to grieve because they're grieving someone and not something. And we support people for as long as they want to. So people contact me and we just journey with them. We have a weekend retreat, but we're so much more than just that. So we, like I say, we just journey with people for as long as they need it.
Thank you. Can you tell us a bit about how the pills by post system works and what the pills by post are?
So pills by post is basically it's a medical abortion at home. So you no longer have to go to a medical centre or go to an abortion centre. You can have the abortion at home. So that you still take that first tablet where it just stops the progesterone, and it's a hormone that supports pregnancy. That's why, you know, progesterone is offered for abortion pill reversal, because it's just an uplifting of that hormone again to save the life of the child. And then that second pill causes contractions to really expel the pregnancy, to remove that tiny little human from the womb. And what else did you ask me? You said about how does this system work?
How can people obtain the medication, the pills by post?
Okay, so it's really simple. So you just need to make a phone call. It's as simple as that. Make a phone call and those pills will be sent to your home. And this system works by having no scan. No doctor needs to see you or even speak to you. You don't even need an NHS number or no blood test. So, you know, it's a very simple process of now having abortions at home.
Currently, as the system stands, are there any safeguards set up for women who are getting these pills? And is there any gestational limit to when you can take these abortion pills at home?
So no, the simple answer to that is no. So it is meant to be that you can have these tablets up until 10 weeks is the cutoff. But this system is incredibly dangerous. I know that, you know, pro-aborts always argue that, you know, if we don't have abortion, if it's not part of the healthcare system, then we're going to go back to the back streets. We're there already. We are now back to the back streets where there's no medical assistance and it's done in your own home, you know. So we're exactly back where we were in the 60s. So, you know, why is this dangerous? Well, women are keeping the pills at home. I speak to hundreds upon hundreds of women that are affected by abortion. So these pills, very often they'll arrive through the door and they'll be left on the side. And you know, they're not quite sure what they want to do, or they just have a really bad day and they end up taking the medication. And that can be over 10 weeks, where people have taken them far beyond the 10-week cutoff. It's also not possible at all in a phone call to work out the identity of the person. I'd say it's very easy to see if it's a man or a woman, but anybody could be ringing up. I know recently in the news there was a man who managed to get, you know, one of his friends to call up and get the tablets, and those tablets then were given to his girlfriend who was pregnant by spiking her. That meant that she had an abortion that she didn't even know about. The abuser can be next to you. You know, how do you know on a phone call? It's not even a video call, and that wouldn't be helpful anyway, because they can be behind the video. You know, how I know years ago there was that whole campaign on, you know, keeping people safe like this. But if you went into a shop, how are you going to do that in a phone call? How are you going to let, you know, somebody know that, okay, there's very little chance there's going to be a gun to your head, but there'll be a fist to your head, or, you know, or a foot to your head after, if you don't go along with what's being told. But you need to say on the phone call. You know, I think the list is endless. You know, that 1 in 17, if this is so safe, why is 1 in 17 women who have abortion, DIY, I call them, abortions at home, pills by post, why are these women, 1 in 17, ending up in hospital? How are we? I know we can, you know, people keep saying, trust women, trust women. But I'm not a doctor. How do I know? I know that my own pain threshold is very high already because of a trauma response from years ago. So my level of pain threshold is quite high. But how do I know what's normal? How do I know what's the right amount of blood is normal in an abortion, especially if I've never been there before?
So it sounds like not only is there a huge risk of coercion and abuse, the abuse of this system, but also it sounds like a lot of these women are developing significant health issues as a result, and there's a massive health risk, and women are ending up in hospital.
Absolutely, you know, and I think especially of Natalia, I say her name because I know she's gone public on this, but the psychological wounds, as well as like we've just described, you know, the medical wounds that ended up in hospital, went on for years for Natalia, you know, because the damage and the trauma that she thought she was ending a pregnancy, she didn't realise she was ending her life. You know, when she looked down in the toilet, her child was looking back at her. You know, how do you get over that? How do you move on from that? And let's not even begin to, you know, to think about the horrors, but we need to. But where are the remains of these babies going? You know, that they're being flushed down the toilet. I hear so many times of women immediately regretting it and you know, putting the remains, either burying them or putting them in the freezer because they just don't know what to do with the remains.
It also sounds to me like there is no support for the women who are taking these pills at home, no emotional or physical support for them post the abortion. Is this correct?
That's correct, you know, and also when you've been hurt so badly through what you thought was a medical intervention, why would you go back to the one that beat you, the one that hurt you? So this is why very often these women are not ringing up, you know, the abortion facility, or, you know, or many abortions are done in secret, and I think the grief is done in secret too. So there's no repercussions, there's no people, and also because of the shame as well that's attached to an abortion experience or the secret of it. Where do they go? Who do they ring? Where's the helpline for that?
Since this system has been brought in, have you noticed an increase in demand for your ministry, a bigger need for help for people? And is there any case that stands out to you that has really touched you working with post-abortive women?
Yeah, so I think, I mean, Pills by Post came about when we went into lockdown. So people were already isolated. So we were isolated even more. So I did have more people contact me. And I think, you know, all the people that contact me are traumatized through an abortion experience, whether it was yesterday or 50 years ago. But the new level of trauma impact is obvious to me. It's quite huge. You know, when you see the reality, you see, my first abortion, I was put to sleep. So I don't know what happened, but the reality is in your own home. You know, that place of what, you know, one woman described as, you know, her home was her sanctuary, her place of safety, is now no longer seen like that, but is now seen as her place where she, you know, where her child died. You know, like Natalia, and sorry, get the names mixed up. Yeah, Natalia, when Natalia, you know, told me how she saw, you know, her child looking back at her, that's done at home. So there's no distance between, you know, the trauma and where you are. So, I mean, I know for myself, a lot of my traumas happened years ago. I don't visit those places, but you've still got to visit your own home. you know, and like I described, you know, well, where do the remains go? Because, you know, at an abortion centre, they usually keep the remains. But where are the remains now? What are you meant to do with it? How do we deal with this in a dignified manner?
From what you've described, it sounds to me like women are sold a lie in this abortion pill system, where they're told this is the easiest thing you'll do. We'll send these pills to your home, when in fact they're more alone and more vulnerable than ever. There's no medical support, there's no emotional support, and women are left to deal with the consequences of the abortion by themselves without knowing what to expect after the abortion.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there. That's exactly what it is. That, you know, you're isolated even more. That silence and that trauma, you've got nobody to speak to. This certainly doesn't keep women safe at all.
Now, to move on to hopefully a bit more of a hopeful note, what can we do as a society, or what should we be doing and aiming for as a society to not only make this system illegal, but make it unthinkable for women to be treated this way?
Okay, I think as a medical procedure, there needs to be medical people involved for a start, to keep women safe, not at the end of it. And I think we need to be really honest with women about what they're going to see, and tell them the truth about what an abortion is. You know, for any operation that I've had, I sign a document that gives informed, you know, that I've made an informed decision. And whether I like it or not, the doctor and the anaesthetist will come around and go, these are the dangers, this is what's going to happen, and this is how it might affect your life in future. But they're not told that. So I think we need to be honest with women. You know, we need to tell them that, you know, a tiny human being will die. Because then, you know, because the reality of abortion, they're going to see it when it's far too late, you know. And I just think we need to really do better by society and by women than offer them more than to kill their children.
Can you tell me, why do you think it's important that we make this pills by post system illegal? And what is it that we're fighting for here?
So we're fighting, obviously, the first thing we're fighting for your supporters is, you know, the right to life for everybody, from conception to natural death. But also we're fighting for the life of the women and men, especially the women that are going to be so badly traumatized by abortion at home. We need to do better by women than this. And by signing this, what we're doing is signing that we care about women, deeply care about women, as well as the fathers and their children, that women matter.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your experiences with us. And like you said, it's so important that we all stand up and fight for the lives of people involved, the lives of people affected by this pills by post system, not only the babies, but also the women, the fathers of these children, grandparents, because like you said at the beginning, I think abortion doesn't just affect the woman, it affects the wider society, it affects us all in a way. And it's so important that we fight for the truth and that we defend and protect the vulnerable and defend and protect women from being sold this lie. I also want to take this opportunity to thank everyone who signed this petition, and wanted to let you know that we at CitizenGO will not stop fighting to protect women and children. We will continue to fight until abortion is not only illegal, but until it is unthinkable.